if you beat the game, it loops and it's just on a harder difficulty. So
It's one of those that goes, not just kidding. You didn't really beat it. Try again, harder.
welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Nolan here.
And this is episode 358. And the Game Awards has concluded with God of Ragnarok sweeping most of the show, but not winning Game of the Year. That, of course, went to Elden Ring.
Congrats, Elden Ring team.
Thoughts?
You deserve it.
Thoughts on the show and on the winners? Any reveals? Let's just have a good old conversation about the Game Awards 2022.
I was pleasantly surprised. Didn't watch all of it, but the second half I caught, and sometimes those are uncomfortable. And there were moments where you're like, have these people ever spoken before? Like, at all? You know, like there's some awkwardness that comes with the territory. But like overall, well produced, some really hype reveals this year. Stuff that I didn't know I was excited about that I'm so excited about now. And so like overall it was really good. And plus we kind of like informally, but we kind of live watched it together with some of our Discord community.
Yeah, it was fun.
And like talked through it, and it was such a blast hearing everyone's reactions. And Dustin didn't win a Steam Deck, so
Did you, Kenny?
no.
You know why Kenny didn't win a Steam Deck?
What's the one reason why?
Probably didn't click the one button you have to click to confirm.
I clicked the button.
No, you didn't.
I called him out
the
saying that I'm confident he didn't do the things he needed to do to be able to be in the running.
I know you
Now,
didn't.
here's the question. Do I have to have made a purchase in Steam?
Okay, you're out then.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
99-cent purchase. Dustin, I agree with Kenny. I usually don't
Agree with Kenny?
tune in.
Oh.
I don't like
Both.
them. The Jeff Keighley one is pretty good lately. I've been enjoying that one. Sony State of Play has been really good. So lately, Game Awards are growing on me, and this one was good. I liked it overall. I thought it was, except for the speeches, which are too long.
That's always at
and
any
annoying.
award show.
Yeah, and I can't really hold it against the award show as much as I can the person giving the speech. But yeah, I liked it. I had to catch it later after the fact, but you guys let me know that Elden Ring won and everything was okay. Tekken 8. We got Tekken 8 trailer. I would love seeing that. So yeah,
We got a new Street Fighter trailer.
That new mech game from
Armored Core?
FromSoft?
yeah. FromSoft is making that. I'm gonna play the whole series probably because it looks insane.
A Transformers game that I'm probably not going to like, but that the trailer was so good that I'm actually a little hyped for.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't know why.
Certainly
All
won't-
sorts of little nuggets like
I
that.
certainly won't play it, but it did look cool. Hades 2, I might play.
Okay,
I
maybe.
lost my mind.
That
I
was
still
a-
can't
good.
believe it.
That was a huge reveal. I was not expecting that.
Huge.
Supergiant doesn't do sequels?
No, I thought Hades would stand alone forever as just one entry and done,
Right.
and that would have been fine. Like mic drop. But the fact that they're doing it again, of course I want that.
Death Stranding 2? Did you see
Yeah,
the
that
trailer
too.
for that? I also didn't
Yeah,
expect
and like
that.
Elle Fanning is gonna be. It's like they showed the cast who's gonna be in it. It's like, okay, I got to get back around to Death Stranding 1 because I want to play it.
And there's a game that has Chuck Norris in it. Did y'all see that? Like it's a crime syndicate
I did.
thing, and it's gonna have Chuck Norris and a lot of other like huge actors in it.
Yeah,
other,
wasn't
like,
Danny
music-
Trejo in that one too?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought I
like,
saw his face
almost
as well.
Everybody that is.
What do y'all think about that being more prevalent? Big actors like playing roles in games, like with God of War.
I
kinda
like it.
I do too. I think
like
it's
it.
interesting,
I don't know. We'll
and
see.
I think it could make games more widespread. But
We'll see. It was a good Game Awards. Unfortunately, not every game could win. Some had to be on the chopper block, but it still was a helly good
Chopping.
time. Like in our Rotor Game of the Week, Twin Cobra.
Overview.
Twin Cobra is an arcade game that came out in the late 80s, 1987, from Taito, released here in the States from Romstar, and is a vertically scrolling shooter. So it's a shmup. Like Dustin Segue so beautifully introduced, you are a helicopter. You are an attack helicopter.
You're probably the guy
game.
in the helicopter, but either way.
Yeah, regardless. However you identify with this game. And you're, unsurprisingly, since you're a helicopter, you're going through a whole military-themed series of progressions where you're shooting stuff and they're shooting back at you. Really standard shoot 'em up fare.
You don't have to make it any more interesting than that, Kenny. That's
pretty
bare bones.
Yeah, that's the whole explanation.
Yeah.
Typical enemies you would expect. You get some water-based boats and some tanks shooting at you and other helicopters and lots of stuff going on like you get with the genre. This game was ported to a number of different platforms, so some slight differences in variations of kind of depending on how people choose to play this game and what their level of accessibility is. It may have been a little bit different from game to game, but pretty standard shoot 'em up fare across the board.
This is an earlier shmup for us. I feel like most of the ones we end up playing are in the 90s.
Yeah, early 90s, still in the same general era. But,
same era, yeah.
But 87's early, especially if we're talking home consoles, but we're talking about arcades, and arcades have been a thing. I mean, this was...
tail end.
I mean, this... not only did you have a lot of arcade games during this era, but you had a lot of these vertical scrolling shooters.
Yeah, this was
era.
the genre.
This
very
was
popular.
One of the more popular genres when you go into the arcade. And we played, surprisingly on the show, a good amount of these vertically scrolling shooters. Not all from the arcade. Some were home consoles. But we played, I'm just going to go through some of them. 1942, which is one of the more classic.
Yeah, that's a classic.
But Twin Cobra is... in some ways trying to be 1942. I mean, it's that whole
it's pretty
vibe.
Classic too. It's that same vibe.
We played one of the OGs, Space Invaders, which is not military, more alien space.
I don't know if that really counts, but it kind of counts.
Well, we played Tyrion, Ikaruga, Ray Force, and even Perfect Cherry Blossom, if you want to include that. That's more of a bullet hell thing. But
I'd include it too.
We don't have a good experience with this genre on the show, guys.
Why not?
Because of you two.
No.
Yes.
Because
we have opinions?
No, well,
because there was one game you liked that we disagreed with you about.
There are multiple ones of these games where you two are bad at this genre, and so y'all don't like, and so y'all typically speak ill about good games. I think Ray Force was one of those in particular, right? That had the different... No. What had the different layers that was so
Ray Force?
good?
Ikaruga.
No. Okay, both of those. But y'all, I think both of those y'all spoke ill on when those games are ill in all of the best ways.
Well, I will be the first to admit to you that I don't find shmups the most fun games, but I give them a fair shake. I'm good at them. And... yes, there are comments to prove it in that last one. By the way, we play way too many shmups.
There's a lot
Take
of
them all off the list. All of them.
They exist.
No more.
See, this
no,
is what I'm
2022,
saying.
dude.
This
2022
is the problem.
sucks. No, this year has been rough. The randomizer and the Patreon pools have been rough. I need to go take a shower.
What
too
is
many
happening?
Shmups.
You just got to play Final Fantasy and 6.
I want to have that experience
and
every
you're
week.
Complaining about games that you're given.
I'm not saying that doesn't mean I don't like Twin Cobra, by the way. I'm just saying we play way too many of these, and we always have this conversation. And it's not because I'm bad. Can you? I don't know.
We do always have this conversation, but Nolan is wrong, and I point this out every time. I'm with you, Dustin. This genre has tons of potential to be fun. It should be such a blast. And I think we just haven't been lucky with the games we've picked, because shooters can be so fun, even when you're terrible at them, because I am.
Gameplay.
Like other games in this genre, you're flying northward or up, and
Oh,
and
yeah,
you're
up
It's
yonder.
not north.
I mean, it is in my game. I was flying north.
You didn't have a compass out?
You don't know that.
Were you flying east?
I don't know that. I might have been.
And you're shooting at ground and air targets. You're collecting power-ups along the
No,
way.
you're not. No, you're not.
You're trying, and
Yeah.
you're shooting and missiles, dropping bombs, and trying to avoid getting hit, because every time you get hit, you die. You take 1 hit, your enemies take 1,000. Kenny's doing math in his head.
He's doing
he's
air
doing
math.
compass?
With his hands, he's being a
Hold
compass.
on.
I
Hold on.
hate-
I'm thinking.
I hate
No, you're
him.
not.
I
You
hate
need-
him.
You need the sun if you're doing anything. What are you looking at? Your
I'm
ceiling?
thinking about the sun. Give me a second. You can keep talking if you want.
I don't want you to talk or do anything about this.
Okay, let me talk to you about
You are
while
going
he's
north.
doing. Okay.
I mean, I'm glad that he came to my
Sure.
side. But
I think so. If you think about where the shadows are versus your orientation,
Wait, there is a shadow. He's right.
there is a shadow on your ship. Well, I guess you're really far above the water, so
Stupid.
maybe not.
Doesn't
but
it
my
also-
best guess, given the information we have, is that you are more likely to be going north than not. So
also
I recant.
depends where in the world you are, right? Because that
Yes.
shadow shows up differently depending
Yes.
on where.
My shadow shows up, like, over there.
This is not the center of our conversation today.
I'm fine with it
but
being
it could
that.
be.
Yeah, if we wanted to.
You're flying north,
People need to learn a thing or two when they listen to NGP.
and this is not it.
True North.
About how the sun works.
True North. What's not True North?
No, please, Nolan, you are going to
Fake
say something
North.
else.
Just
It's
leaves
just
in.
any direction. That's fake North.
game-
Okay.
No, there's two.
Listen
Okay,
to
to be
me.
honest, I know this, Nolan, because I had to do some research on this
Okay.
recently. There's 2 different norths. One is I don't recall the other one. Maybe magnetic north, but they are
Yeah,
slightly
magnetic
different. True north and magnetic
Oh,
north are
like
slightly
magnetic fields. Yeah, I know that. The problem with Twin
You can't
Cobra,
just say a
though.
word.
The problem with Twin Cobra, though, is you said you're getting power ups, but what is actually happening is they're playing hard to get. Like most power ups
Okay,
in
we're going
shmups
here?
just go down and you get them, or if you can navigate to them,
Or come
like,
to you.
they come. That's what I'm saying. They come to you. It's very easy. You pick it up. You earned it. In this game, the power up shows up on the screen, and then it starts to act like a house fly. Zing, let me
Yeah.
get away from you. It's like actively trying to get away from you. Why? Why?
I've never seen power-ups try and actively avoid the player more than they do here. Like it's programmed to
Yes.
move away from you as you move towards it.
Why
It is
did they do
frustrating.
that?
It's insane. You're already having to avoid not only the bullets that are coming at you, but the
units.
vehicles that are flying at you. And
Well,
then-
you say bullets. I'm not convinced these are bullets. I think they're shooting, I don't even know, like giant flaming basketballs. No, that's too small. Giant flaming houses
Footballs.
or something. Footballs.
houses.
Houses are too big. The helicopter.
Houses are
luggage.
also not
They're
spherical.
shooting giant flaming luggage suitcases at you. Bullets
Carry
are too
on.
small.
Yeah.
Carry on or check like baggage.
He's talking
no,
about check.
baggage.
Woo!
Yeah. Yeah.
No, the
It's
bombs are
something-
check baggage, and
No,
the
what I-
keys are
What I'm
carry-ons.
saying, and you guys are with me, the projectiles are
I'm
really
never
big.
with you. I promise.
They're big projectiles. They're not like tiny little things that you're like, oh yeah, I'll just step out of the way of that thing. They're chunky.
I mean, yes, some of them.
It's arcade. Arcade is gonna be chunky.
And like some of the other problem with trying to navigate to that power up is yes, the big balls, but also some units are spongy. Like we talk about that too. Like a lot of them aren't, but some of them are, and they're shooting at you point blank. And
Like
then
like they soak up a lot of damage.
Yes, Kenny.
yes, bullet sponge.
Okay, I
bullet
wasn't
sponge.
fine.
Luggage sponge, Kenny. Are you on the same
Yes.
page? Luggage
Yeah.
sponge. Okay.
Now I get it. You just
And-
should have said it that way.
It just makes it harder to become stronger, which is what you need to do to progress in a shmup. And I was constantly at stage 1 of pea shooter.
Yes. So what Nolan is saying, basically, you're not collecting power-ups. You're collecting one power-up, then dying. Collecting one power-up, then dying. Collecting one power-up, and then dying. And what's so much fun about this game is that it resets you not back to the previous level of what you were, but back to the beginning. So every time you die, not game over, every time you die, you lose your one ship, you get hit once, your bullets are reset to the original level of power, which is very not good.
Even if you've upgraded them wildly. And I will say it's great that there are a wild amount of upgrades here, because I am a huge advocate for, like, you need power in these games to get through them. And as you progress, it's not like your stuff should get slightly better. Like, it's most fun for me.
Yes, for everybody.
You get crazy fun upgrades, and when you start upgrading that main gun, it very quickly moves from, like, tiny little, bullets to, throw in the whole luggage rack at the enemy.
A wall of luggage.
It's
a
the
wall
potential.
Of luggage.
It's coded into the game. It exists.
But
you can become powerful. You're never going to see it, though. And we have to have this conversation. I swear we have 10 episodes that sound the same. But it's an arcade game, and so they designed it that way probably so that you would not be able to progress very far. Right. But, I mean, you get the continues. But the problem is I don't want to continue because I want a better gun.
You want to use your quarters on a different game. You want to go play Tekken.
Yeah.
I don't think it's out of this.
Well, yeah, but if I must, I want to have a big gun. Like, I want to shoot stuff.
We all do.
We all want big guns.
It's natural. I'm with you, Nolan. It's like, it's so frustrating that it's such a quarter eater. And it's not like a quarter eater. It's a quarter absolute suck hole. Yeah, like it's a black hole of quarters. For a lot of reasons, and we talked about some of them, but, like, not only are the bullets big, but it's one shot kill, which does completely reset your weapons. And then there's no, like, reprieve there. You come back in and you're right in the middle of everything already being established with these bullets everywhere and stuff flying.
Oh yeah, you're done.
And so there's no real way there's no, like, recovery mechanic at all. And all of that would be fine if you felt like you could get good enough to not die. But the way the bullets move, the speed of the bullets versus the speed of your character, I don't know. This one was tough. And I know, like, that's part of the genre, and they're all tough, but they're tough for different reasons. And I don't even know how to pinpoint it on this one because it's different.
No, a challenge is
it's
good.
Doable, but it's tough.
A challenge is good. You want to be tough but fair. I think a lot of it comes down to the speed of your helicopter.
Pretty slow.
I think if they gave you a lot more speed to be able to navigate around the luggages that are flying at you, maybe that would help you stay alive. But you're not moving fast.
Nope.
No.
Make that.
And I thought
that an
you would
upgrade
get
if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Or give me a shield that I can earn by shooting
shield
something and grabbing it so that I get at least one hit where I still get to hold onto my weapons. Just, there needed to be some amount of forgiveness, and there was none.
I just think that for me with this genre, there needs to always be, and I think I'm hearing it from all of us, there needs to be some layer, hidden or visible, of progress retention, where you've got something to get back when you die. Like, you don't just start fresh, because like Kenny said, if you get far and that happens, you're done. Doesn't matter if you have a continue, you're done.
Yeah.
The screen is full. So
we've seen one way that I like to do it is when your ship does explode, or when your helicopter in this case, that it puts out some power-ups, and so when you come back, you're able to recollect those. And I don't know if it puts you back exactly where you were, but it puts you back at least close. It doesn't start you over. And the thing is that this game doesn't like meet you there. It continues to get increasingly more difficult. There's no like rubber band to keep it close to you. It increases in difficulty, but if you're getting reset every time, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. There's not going to be a place where you can get caught back up.
There is an upside here, however. I don't know if I'd really call it an upside, because there's a little bit of a gimmick as well. But because it's just feed another quarter, keep going, you have infinite continues here. This is not a world where...
Only if you have infinite dollars.
Well, sure. If you've got deep enough pockets, or if you're not playing with actual quarters, you can just power your way through this game. That's not necessarily a fun thing.
Fun, yeah.
But
it's still not with power-ups. The fun is getting to a super powerful state.
Yes.
I'm not saying they implemented that well, but I'm saying for this genre, at least it's less punishing than just to, like, you died once, you had to start over. In that case, like, you couldn't even, no one would ever see this game all the way through. It'd literally be impossible. So that was nice. The thing that's a total cop-out, though, is that as long as you continue in this game, your score keeps going up. So, like, you go to the arcade, and somebody's got that top score of all time.
But some people do. I
yeah, they've got that top score of all time. It's not necessarily because they were good, and that's kind of the point, is if you got the top score,
it's because they were rich?
No-lifer, yeah, who's got skills. It's because they got their daddy's deep pockets full of quarters, and they're chugging them in there. They got a luggage full of quarters.
Okay. Something I was looking for to help me a little bit, because this is in most other ones that we play and I generally enjoy them, would be unique boss fights or some sort of break in the stage that adds a challenge that's not just a ton of bullets on screen. And this isn't a bullet hell. That's not what I'm saying. It's just... anyways, there's not that here either. So I didn't get any fun, like, interesting... boss fights. There are, like, some you could maybe argue are like challenge fights at the end of some of these stages, but they're not. They're just bullet sponges.
Yeah, they're not that interesting. Sure, they differ. One is a tank. One is two tanks.
One's two tanks. Get real.
Like, but the nothing changes. It's just shooting tons of bullets at you. You try to slowly move around them and shoot back. And then even the bombs, which we haven't even talked about much, which you get typically two kinds of shots in most games, right? You get a shot and you get a bomb. In some of these games, they're screen clearing,
screen
bombs.
wide, yeah.
And they're not going to take out a boss, but they're going to do significant damage. And these bombs do significant damage to the bosses, but they're very localized.
AOE.
Like
they are,
yeah,
and pretty slow too. A lot of times it's a hit the button, like it's your panic button if you need it to be in some.
But not
even
games, immediate.
Which gives you something
lag,
clutch.
yeah.
I'm saying in some games it is, but this one it's slow. You're in a troubling situation if you didn't forecast it by like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
and we're talking that's a long time.
Right.
Then you don't have time to react. The number of times that I hit a bomb and I would see it moving while I died was obscene because you couldn't react in time to use that as a mechanic. And so that was bad too. It was welcome at least that when the bomb did go off in the radius, that it also cleared the bullets in that radius. I don't know if you noticed that. It was at least slightly helpful. It gave you one kind of defensive tool for areas that like you felt like you weren't going to be able to get through, but it was very hard to know you were going to need it and time it and put it in the right place. And so like, yeah, it was clunky.
The bosses, Nolan, I agree. Like, there are some bosses that I faced and then I was like, oh, that was a boss.
Yes, exactly.
You know, you don't want that experience.
No, it was just a bigger version of the tanks earlier. It was just a bigger
it felt like
enemy.
mini bosses. It felt like what would have been a halfway boss, but hard. And the hardest thing about the bosses half the time wasn't the boss itself. It was the 18 other things that would come on the screen while the boss was also shooting a bunch of stuff at you. It was just the sheer number of bullets and nothing like that. You're like, oh, I'm going to learn the mechanics for this specific boss and like figure it out and then be good at it. No, it was just like the same game, but more challenging when the bosses were up.
We've kind of been whining a lot, and I think rightfully so. Can we just take a few moments and share a few things that we did like?
For sure.
Can always.
I'm going to jump straight in. I know Nolan's like, there's nothing in this game to like. I'm
I like
a
a few
curmudgeon.
things.
There's some really good things. One, I love not only do the power-ups theoretically, I know you can't actually keep them, but give you tons of progression, but they get really cool as they progress. Like your spread main shot really does get a lot wider and like shoot a huge area of the screen. But I loved too that you had options on types of weapons, and I loved that they gave an interesting mechanic to let you pick which upgrade or which weapon type you wanted.
Yeah,
so
I agree. So
like, you should explain that because it was cool.
One of the power-ups that shows up on the screen is this color-changing orb that moves around the screen, and it changes from red to blue to green. I think those are the three.
And yellow.
And you are able to grab it at any point along the time, and when you grab it, the color that it is, that changes the bullet type that you are shooting. And red is going to be like your normal missiles. Blue are these blue orbs, and they have different spread patterns as well. And then green is a lot tighter of a spread, but they're like these laser futuristic.
I think the green is
weapons.
the laser, yeah, and then the yellow is the one to let you shoot to the sides and behind you. Yellow shoots all the different directions, in front and the side behind.
So and I like that. It does keep, again, I'm saying that, yes, I agree, Nolan. You're probably not going to get there, but if you're able to get there, you keep the level of power up, right? So if you're like on level 3 of the red, but then you grab the blue, you'll stay on level 3, but then it'll just change to the blue format of luggage. And I do think
really
that's
nice.
cool. Yeah, that is cool. I agree with you, Kenny. Another thing that I like that you don't see in all of these games, you've probably seen some of them, is the additional left to right scroll. You're not just on the single access or plane that you can see, but you're able to scroll the screen a little bit to the left and to the right. Yeah. I thought that was interesting because there's additional buildings that you can destroy to the left or to the right. There's additional enemies that might be off screen. You don't always get that. I think it adds a little bit, right?
No, but I hear you.
Don't say no.
Well,
I will say, did you know that if you beat the game, it's one of those that it just, if you beat the game, that's silly, right? If you beat the game, it loops, and it's just on a harder difficulty. So
it's one of those that goes, not just kidding. You didn't really beat it. Try again, harder.
It's one of those, which is always a lot of fun.
Aged.
With arcade titles and shmup arcade titles in particular, I think, I wasn't there, Kenny, you might be able to speak to this, but I do know that the appeal, or part of the appeal of going to the arcade and like picking your favorite cabinet was the theme, and what the the splash art on the side was, and how that translated to the gameplay, and like what the game feels like, and all of that. Yeah, it's fine thematically if you look at the box art and everything, but it didn't have that charm, that appeal that a lot of these shmups have, that pull you in and make you like a fan of that shmup. And this one just felt super like copy paste, kind of bland theme. Like just army helicopter, have fun. And I'm like, that's not good enough.
I think you're misunderstanding what was cool to 80s kids.
I agree.
We had this conversation during the POW episode.
Yeah.
Where you guys were like,
something.
What? Like, who would be into this? But
POW.
That was big then.
Prisoner of War.
Prisoner of War, that old NES game. It was a long time ago. You shouldn't remember that. But like military stuff was big. Yeah. And
no, I'm not. I know. I'm not saying that wasn't the case.
Well,
I think the theme is excellent, is what I'm saying. Like I think for the accolades on that.
I agree. I can see both sides because like I'm in the middle of all of these eras. Like back then you put out something that's like military, go America, hate the Nazis kind of thing, then people are going to play it. People are going to like it. And you'll see that there are copy pastes of that. I mean, all those 19 whatever games, like those all are all the same theme, but it worked during that era. I agree though, looking back on it, it's like all these look the same and there's nothing inspiring about them.
The theme's fine. It's just, I think they didn't pull off, I don't think once you actually get into the game that it has any sort of flair or anything interesting to keep you playing. It felt, and maybe I'm getting into the graphics and the music a little bit because both of those things contribute to what I felt in trying to communicate this. It just felt lazy. I don't know. And it's old. I get it. It's an old arcade title, so I can't knock it too heavily. But I don't know. I'm fine with the theme, and I know that was a popular thing. It just, I'm like, there were so many other ones you could have picked that are cooler than this one, like other Army games.
See, I was relatively appreciative of the look. Not. I think we're on the same page in terms of like gameplay stuff. And again, every arcade's going to be different. Even like years and technology that power them changes quickly. Whatever else. But for like when this game dropped and the look of it, I felt like they did a pretty good job. It didn't. You only have so much screen real estate, but they tried to move a whole bunch of different backgrounds there. There were way too many like same enemies, but that's the genre. But different looking helicopters, different looking fighters. I felt like visually I could have gotten really excited about this game if the gameplay was there. And again, maybe that's sort of nostalgia and like preference. But I think it looks pretty nice overall.
Yeah, I think it looks nice, but not exciting. There's nothing stunning about it. There's nothing intriguing about it. There's nothing unique about it. Maybe, Nolan, that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It kind of just look there, but for 1987, it is an arcade, so you've got more powerful systems, right? But it looks, I mean, it looks good for 1987, right? Like it looks like a advanced NES game probably.
Yeah.
But I do agree stylistically. I think other than, hey, it's another military shooter. Oh, and you're in a helicopter, not a plane. But the thing is, all the planes moved like helicopters anyway. You could move left and right or down and back. Like you could do all that. So they all move the same. I don't
should have been a
think that adds
helicopter the whole
anything.
time.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, realistically. Music wise though, I was initially impressed by the music. Some early arcade shooters don't have music and sounds at the same time. You know, they conflict. So like sometimes the music will stop or there won't be much and it'll just be like.
And I thought this was going to be that because the title screen has no
silent.
music. And I was like, oh, it's going to be a quiet game.
But the music I thought was pretty good. It's not something I'm going to listen to outside of. But man, for an arcade shooter, it's what I couldn't ask for much
I'm
more.
glad it's there for sure. I like And yeah, it was good.
It fit.
You know, I have no problem. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it wasn't too repetitive to me. I mean, it never got annoying.
No, I'm with you.
So the music was probably the better
Nice job on
aspect
the
of
music.
it.
One of the
from
things
my
I would have loved for the music to change when a boss shows up, so you know it's a boss. But that might be asking a lot for 1987.
That's asking a lot.
Yeah. Two-player co-op is something that we just miss in 2022, playing an arcade game from home.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, I don't know, that it would make this game easier because you've got double the attack force that's coming against the enemies, but also
I wonder if it ups the drops of upgrades too, or if it doesn't. Because if it doesn't, then that's interesting. It's like yoinking loot and Diablo from your party member.
Yeah, I don't know, but these games would always seem to be more fun when you're able to play with a friend in an arcade.
I know they would for me. Even in
For
the house, like if y'all were here and we could play this on the same screen, I know for a fact I would enjoy even this one specifically more because it's
you
just
get that competitive moment and like you're laughing at each other when they die, and it's
well, it
just
takes
a
your
good
attention off the
element.
bad parts of the game a little bit, and then it's just hanging out with a friend, and so I don't know.
It is a series, so this is the second one. This is a sequel.
Yeah,
Kenny,
I've heard of it.
It, according to you, should always mean good things.
I mean, it's probably better than the first one.
Tiger Heli was the first one in 1985. This was the sequel, Twin Cobra, in 87, and then Twin Cobra 2 came out in 1995.
Oh, I'm interested in Twin Cobra 2, actually.
Yeah.
A 95 release. That could be cool.
Maybe they...
And, like, learn some of those lessons, especially if we get a non-arcade version, and maybe that one is arcade.
I want an arcade 95 one. That would be cool.
I want the NES version where they adapt for the fact that it's not a quarter eater and give you some of that forgiveness.
Dude?
Not NES. I just mean console. I want it to be Made for home console, not made for arcade.
I was like, that's a late.
By the
NES
way, Kenny, you mentioned early in the episode, but there are many ports of this game, and when it came to home consoles, they did make it easier, which you need to. Like
you have to.
You have to. Yeah.
I don't know what all they did, but they did make it easier. But there's plenty of ports: PC, NES, Sega Genesis. They also provide, along with the decreased difficulty, they provided checkpoints along the way, so that if you die or game over or whatever, you're able to start back at a certain place rather than at the beginning of the game. So it's not a bad idea. If you want a copy of this game, like an arcade, if you want the cabinet, there are still some out there. The rarity is not as much as some of the arcade games we've faced in the past. This one I saw on eBay right now for around $3,000. So it's expensive, but there are some out there if you want one for your arcade.
Sure. Not me.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. Kenny, what did you think about Twin Cobra?
This game had loads of potential. I want so badly for us to find a shoot 'em up that captures my heart. I really do. And so I go into everyone super optimistic. This wasn't it. I don't think that's a surprise for anyone. But let me just to just summarize. Let me quickly give you my 2 experiences with this game. One experience was, we're playing this on a podcast. I need to see as much of it as I can to fairly justify having an opinion on it. So I continued my way all the way through it, or through most of it. Die, continue, grind. That was painful. One upgrade at most max, like Nolan ever said. I just was dying all the time and couldn't hold one. So I said, okay, fine. Maybe if someone was good, maybe I'm the problem here. Maybe if someone was good, this would be more fun. So I went back and loaded up some good save state capability to keep my upgrades when I got them. Get an upgrade, get to somewhere safe, save, then go through. When I get to the next upgrade and successfully get it, save. We're going to have so much fun and get through so much of this game, and it's going to be a blast because I've overcome the one problem with this game. I died and continued this game more this week, this one single game, than maybe all of the we've played 350 games. The math is hard there. But then a lot of the other games that we've ever, at least all of the other shoot 'em ups, which is saying something, combined. Even trying to game the system where I was making progress and where I was making progress with all of the weapons. That's not okay. This game's impossible to play like they intended. It only wants your quarters, but in punishing ways. And so absolutely not. This cannot get New Game Plus no matter what. And it's one of the most frustrating gaming experiences I've ever had.
Well, yeah.
But I love the game and its potential.
You don't love
not
the
as
game.
it is. I love the idea of the game and what it tried to do. And it was so bad.
Yeah.
No New Game Plus, obviously.
It's your fault for putting that amount of effort into this week. I was intrigued at first. By the way, I always come into these believing they're going to be great because I like this genre. I do think it is bloated. It's a bloated genre, particularly during this time, and so you're going to have. Fair. Anyways, it's my turn. You're going to have times that are you're going to have more that are not good or just not notable than those that are good. I even was intrigued right away. I was like, okay, hey, this looks good. It sounds good. But it just became stale too fast. And while it is difficult, I don't think that's the biggest sin here in my book. I think it's just, it becomes forgettable. There's nothing unique enough about it that makes it stand out from the rest. It is difficult, and that is frustrating, and you're not going to be able to, most people are not going to be able to successfully play it in the way that it was originally intended. But it's just, it's not interesting enough. There's nothing unique enough about it. Would I have played it for a few quarters in the arcade in the early 90s? Yes. Would I spend any more time playing it today in the 20s? Even with infinite continues because of daddy's money? No, I wouldn't even touch it again. So this is going to be one of those that next week I won't even remember that we played it because it's that forgettable. I do not give it my vote for New Game Plus status. Nolan?
No.
That means Twin Cobra is not New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? On YouTube, we had 17% say yes, it's worth playing today.
That's high for this game. I'm going to say that.
It's higher than the no's because only 11% said no, go play something else.
And then 1 billion% has never played it.
That's not how percentages work. 72% have never played it before. Which, of course. Then we had many write in. Won't be able to include all of your thoughts, but here are some of your commentary on Twin Cobra. B. Ross said, Twin Cobra is an arcade I luckily played in the past and happily got to revisit. I enjoy the pace and balance the game provides. It comes off as an entry-level bullet hell with fantastic visuals. It allows the player to get comfortable with the controls and mechanics with its ability to move strafe left or right outside of the initial playing field, which gives a level of control that isn't common in the genre. I love the mixture of upper/lower enemies, especially during the boss battles or the entire screen being taken over by a single warship. NGP from me, totally, and I'm not the biggest shmup fan.
Paid actor.
Wow.
Oh, you think Taito sent someone in?
Yes, paid actor. Thank you for writing in.
Garlisle said, I don't know what to tear into more. The overwhelming necessity of maintaining power-ups in the face of death power resets, the lack of competent auto-fire, the excessive enemy span, the drawn-out, uninspiring stage design. A quote from the creator mentioned they thought shmups were about the thrill of blowing stuff up. And yeah, maybe a bit, but in 30 years of the genre since, we've learned there's a lot more to crafting a good shmup than a cool explosion. This game might have okay visuals and audio, even good by the era's standards, but it doesn't have much else.
We didn't talk about the no auto fire.
Nolan, I don't know if you caught that. Until last night, I did not know there was auto fire. Nolan, there is.
Fire?
It's that slow. Nolan, you hold it, and it's about 5 seconds later, and the next shot comes off. I didn't know there was any semblance of an auto fire.
I can't call that auto fire, though. That's bad.
Even when you're not auto firing,
right.
There's a limitation to how many of your projectiles can be on the screen at a time, which also kind of limits you. So you're spamming, but you have to be a little intentional about doing it right when things are showing up. So yeah, it's janky there for sure. And yes, I also didn't think there was auto fire because I held it at one point and nothing happened. It seemed
right.
So bad.
And that doesn't change. Even if you're at the top of your bullet level, it's still the same slow speed of auto fire, quote unquote.
I literally had to pause the game and walk away because I had cramping hands multiple times playing and trying to force my way through it. So bad.
Bro Jim said, the cardinal sin of being mediocre. I don't think anything is bad about this shooter in general. In fact, the music is kind of a hit, fits very well with the theme, but it doesn't do anything that stands out. Enemies that exist layers are neat, but repetitive, random, and often unfair. Boss fights are anticlimactic because they aren't visually distinctive and have no musical indication to lend them to an air of adrenaline. No video game boss fight should end with you saying, oh, that was a boss? Weapons continue the parade of meh. If you're not colorblind like me, you can grab the weapon you want, and they all sort of have a strength, but no standouts. These games are meant to eat some quarters, and then you move on to a different cabinet. Vertical shooters are probably the most bloated genre in gaming history. Go find a good one. This ain't it.
No accessibility standards in 87 for colorblind people.
Right.
Nope.
Just get good. Sorry.
Joe Picoira said, my experience with shmups is limited and my reaction times are on par with a guinea pig in sub-zero temperatures, but I wanted to give this game a try. I booted up the arcade version of the game and it seems promising. The title screen and the rolling demo video looked awesome. This is going to be a fun action-packed game with cool special weapons. Or it would be, if I could play it for longer than 20 seconds or so without dying, and if the dying mattered at all. I don't mind a hard game, but here, the gameplay just became irrelevant because I would just die all the time without consequences. Even the score doesn't reset after a continue. The graphics are nice for 87, and the gameplay would have been nice if there were any stakes, although I hated that the auto fire was so slow that you had to keep mashing the fire button like it was on fire while still trying to dodge the relatively large amounts of bullets and vehicles that come your way. Maybe this game is actually about the futility of war. You can sow as much money as you can, but all you'll reap is death, and the show goes on.
I like that. It's actually meta commentary on the military-industrial complex, and none of us just got it.
Remove all shmups. New Retro Master List patch incoming. Patch 1.2 is going to be no shmups.
Thank you for sending in your thoughts on the retro game of the week. But for now, we're setting aside Twin Cobra, and we're going to randomly select our next shmup to play for the next 7 days.
I swear I'll quit.
Randomizing now. We're going to be playing a game from 2005 for the PlayStation 2.
Okay, so probably not an arcade game.
The podcast lately has either been 80s or 2005.
Right, or like yesterday. Okay, so this was developed and published by Tecmo. Is that the early football thing?
We know them. Yes, we love them.
Tecmo, that's like Ninja Gaiden,
Tecmo Bowl.
Tecmo Bowl, right?
Tecmo
like,
Bowl, yeah.
Games like that, but that's not what this is. This is an action video game with strategy elements.
Promising.
And it's part of a series called Deception. The game that we're going to be playing for the next 7 days is called Trapped. T-R-A-P-T.
Trapped?
Trapped, and the R is backwards.
Trapped.
No,
okay.
That was really good, Nolan. My God.
That's kind of surprising.
Yeah,
what?
never heard of this. Never heard of the series. It looks kind of like anime waifu kind of stuff.
I was gonna say potential.
Nolan's so into it.
Nolan, you'll love that. Don't act for the show. You love a good waifu.
Shut up. Stop it.
Well,
what genre? What did you say? Action?
It's action video game with strategy elements.
Okay, then. Trapped. Let's do it.
Trapped. Part of the Deception series by Tecmo Bowl. All right. Find a copy of Trapped played along with us this week.
Grab your Tecmo Bowls and some cereal. And join us in Discord.
Oh my gosh.
And go to discord.gg/newgameplus.
Thank you to those of you who continue to play shmups every time they get brought up on the show, even though Nolan's over them. Also, thank you to those of you who support us on patreon.com, including our very large list of producer-level supporters: Adam, Alex, Marlene, Antonin, Ben, DH Browser, Ellis, Francesca, Gimbin, Jared, Joey, Jordan, J. Robert, Justin, Clint, Nick, Nat, Corey, Lawai, Mal, Maxima, Mr. Latte, Sajin, Shauna, Subsonic Demon, Thomas, Unbedavable, William, and Zion. Thank you to our wonderful list of director-level supporters who are like better than you're the last level upgrade on a shmup that can't get taken away. So Bro Jim, Garlisle, Shane, Tasty Yogurt, Super Hypered, Daniel, and Brunt, thank you guys so much for your support. And finally, we have some new folks joining the party. Yeah, Brian and Mike both became patrons for the first time this week. So applause. Hey. Welcome. And Tazelhoft has joined us as the newest producer level supporter.
Welcome.
So, Tazelhoft. Great company, and I think chose a good tier. So thank you guys for your support. Your votes of confidence truly mean so much to us.
Tazelhoft getting those unedited episodes and secret episodes.
Secret? Is there a new one?
You can follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Trapped. Until then, I'm still Python.
I'm still an attack helicopter.
I'm trapped in bullet hell, shmup hell.
Okay, I was going with a snake theme, but and this has been New Game Plus.